Hello and welcome to the Ridiculously Good VA Show with Tracy Daviero. If you are a virtual assistant or want to be one, this is the place to learn the tips and tricks you need to become a ridiculously good VA. I've been a part of the VA industry since 1998, and I'm excited to get to know you and help you build an amazing business. Let's go. Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast that teaches you how to be a ridiculously good virtual assistant. Every week I bring you insights, strategies, and encouragement to help you grow your VA business with confidence, clarity, and consistency. Today I want to talk about SOPs, Standard Operating Procedures. Today's quote is from Michael Gerber. Systems run the business, and people run the systems. Our systems are an essential part of our VA business. They make us better. But how detailed do they have to be? That's what we're going to talk about today. Let's go. I'm your host, Tracy Daviero, the confidence coach for virtual assistants, and today we're talking about something that every VA needs, but very few actually take the time to build properly. Standard Operating Procedures, better known as SOPs. Okay, so maybe I'm being crazy and it's not entirely true about very few VAs building them properly, but there are a lot of you that I have talked to that do not have anything documented. If that's you, then I'm glad that you're listening in here today. How detailed does an SOP need to be when it's for something that you specialize in? This question comes up all the time in my coaching calls, in my mastermind group, and in conversations with any VAs, newer VAs who feel pressured to write SOPs that they feel are either complicated or they're just not detailed enough. There's such a conversation about it all the time. So today I want to walk you through what your SOPs should include, how to know the right level of detail, and how your SOPs actually make you more confident and more valuable to your clients. Sound good? Yeah. Why SOPs matter even when you're the specialist. A lot of VAs think that SOPs are only needed when you're delegating to someone else. Makes sense, right? You got to write it down to give it to someone else. But the truth is your SOPs are not just documents. They're a tool for your VA business, and you should be using them every single day. When you have your workflow mapped out, you stop reinventing the wheel every time you do the task. You stay consistent with your quality and your timing. You can communicate your process clearly to clients. And eventually, if you want to delegate something, you are already prepared. Even when you're the expert in whatever services you offer, an SOP helps you avoid missing small steps when you're tired, overwhelmed, busy, juggling too many clients at once, whatever the case may be. But let's be honest, those days happen to every VA. And here's the mindset shift. SOPs don't take away from your experience. Just because you write them down, they reinforce it. They show clients that you're organized, you're professional, and that you're committed to delivering the same great experience for them every time. And that builds trust. And trust is what lets you charge higher rates and work with better clients. So let's quickly talk about the most important pieces of a good SOP. Not a textbook version, but the real-world version that fits in with VAs and how we work as service providers. There are 8 parts that I recommend. Real quick list. Number 1 is the title and the purpose. This just simply says what the SOP does and why it exists. It's like the headline and the promise, right? Number 2 is the scope. What is included and what is not. This protects your boundaries probably more than you realize. Indicate what that scope is. Number 3, roles and responsibilities. Even if it's just you doing the task, you want to write it down anyway. This helps you see maybe what you could delegate later on if your business changes. Number 4, tools needed. This keeps everything in one place and saves your mental energy. I can't reinforce the mental energy shift enough. It also helps somebody else, though, follow the SOP later without having to stop and ask you a million questions. Number 5, obviously, the big one, the step-by-step workflow. We'll get into this a little bit deeper in a second, but this is where most VAs get stuck. What do I write down? What do I not? Number 6 is quality standards. These are your must-haves. This is how you keep your work looking like your work every single time. Number 7, common mistakes or troubleshooting. And this is where your experience can really shine. What could go wrong? Indicate that. And number 8 is approvals or sign-offs. These steps protect your workflow and your timeline. If you use this 8-step structure, your SOP is going to have everything it needs without feeling overwhelming or confusing. So here's the number one question. How detailed does it need to be? Well, there's kind of two answers to that, right? But the simple rule is that your SOP should be detailed enough that the task can be completed the same way every time without needing to ask questions. That's pretty much it. So let's get a little bit clearer about it. If you are the one following the SOP, obviously you don't need a long detailed manual, do you? Because you have high level steps because you already understand how to do the project itself. So for example, if you're a podcast VA, you might have steps like prepare the outline, record it, edit it, upload it, and schedule it. These are the things that you could walk through into a process. That's enough for you because you already know how. That is very much how my checklist or my process for the podcast that you're listening to goes every week. I have 27 steps, and each one of them is that. I don't need to have to say, open this to record and, save the document here. I don't have to do that kind of thing because I'm the one who's doing the actual work. But there are enough steps that it is really, really important to document those to make sure that we're staying on time all the time. And you do that with all of your tasks as well. But because you know the how, you don't have to get super, super detailed about it. Now, if somebody else needs to follow it, or if they're going to follow it someday, you're probably going to need more detail. Obviously, you always want someone with basic experience to be able to pick it up with, and follow it without interrupting you every 5 minutes to ask you questions. But that same checklist or that same SOP might look like open the episode template, duplicate it, rename it using this date, year, month, date format. Insert the quote, draft the outline, save it to the working drafts folder, notify the client. There are so many steps that can be included there. But again, even as detailed as that, you're not holding somebody's hand to do it, but you're just telling them, this is the process. Check it all off and make sure it gets done. It's the same outcome, but very, very different levels of detail, right? I hope that makes sense. Here's a little test you can use. If you were not feeling well, or if you're really tired, or if you're slammed with deadlines, could you follow your own SOP and get the task done without using a lot of brain power or without having to think too hard? If the answer is yes, then the level of detail that you put into your SOP is correct. Sometimes you'll add more detail as you gain experience. I've updated my SOPs a lot of times. And sometimes you'll simplify things as you streamline your process. You're like, I don't really need to tell you to open the episode template. I think I can take that out. You could just say duplicate the previous episode or something like that. The idea is to streamline the process and look for those opportunities to write things down as they need to be there, but not to drag everything down in paperwork every time. Your SOPs should absolutely evolve with you. And a lot of VAs tell me, but Tracy, I do this all the time, this one thing, whatever the task is. I don't need to write it down. I know how to do it. I totally get that. But like I say to you, I do this podcast every single week, and I have for over 3 years, and I still follow my checklist every single time. I follow it for timing. I follow it so that I can free up my brain space. I follow it because I like to check things off a checklist, to be quite honest. And I follow it to make sure that I know that I have done whatever I need to do for the particular task. If you really think about it, when you're tired, you might skip steps. When you're busy, you might forget things. And when you get a new client, you probably even overthink your workflow because you want everything to be perfect. And you're working with somebody maybe who has a different communication style or a different work style, and you're trying to adapt to that. Your SOP is the thing that gives you a place to land. It becomes that safety net for the consistency that you want to bring to the services you're offering to your clients. And when you're the specialist, your SOP also becomes a sales tool, a confidence tool, a delegation tool, and a quality control tool. I think that last one is really, really important, especially if you're working with subs or working with a team. Quality control is everything, right? Clients love knowing that you follow a proven process. When you can describe it in that way, it makes them feel safe. They feel confident knowing that you've got them. right? And that's extremely valuable in a service provider. You might even think of it as being a soft skill. It's not something that, I can do social media, or I can do scheduling, or I can do sales calls, or I can do whatever it is that the client needs. But this is a really big piece of the organizational thing that we can bring to them that is not their level of expertise. And safe clients say yes more often. They stay longer, and they refer you to other great clients because they know that they're being taken care of. And who doesn't want to share that, right? So your SOP actually supports your business growth in ways that maybe you haven't even thought about. So here's a little simple guideline. I know I've said a lot of things in a short period of time. Keep your SOPs high level when you're the only one doing the task, when you do it frequently, when the task relies heavily on your expertise or your judgment, and when you want flexibility in how you complete it. And make them more detailed when you plan to delegate, when the task is repeated exactly the same way every time, when there are a lot of moving parts, like 27 steps, when mistakes are costly or time consuming, and this one's a really important one, right? And when you work with clients who need clear approvals. If you have stages of things that you go through, you're working with a team, if you're doing a brand update or a website flip, super important, right? To make sure that the approvals are coming through before the next step takes place. It's not about making your SOPs complicated. It's about making them useful, and you should be using them every day. It's not about writing everything down and putting it in a binder and filing it someplace. These are usable documents that you should be using all the time. And I always bring it back to confidence, because confidence is at the heart of everything that you do as a VA. It affects your pricing, your marketing, your boundaries, and all of your client relationships, but also the work that you do. So how do SOPs help you build your confidence? You know exactly how long a task is going to take, and that helps you with creating packages and making sure that you're charging the right rates and that you're not losing time on your billing. You know exactly what steps you're responsible for, and that helps with discovery calls and scope of work conversations. You can communicate your workflow without guessing, because that's very important. We need to be sure of what it is that we're doing. And that helps with your calendar, scheduling your time, and also managing those client expectations. And it helps you show up more organized and more professional. And that helps with, well, everything. And it helps you eliminate unnecessary stress, because nothing is floating around in your head. Your head is not the place to keep all the things that you need to do. And that helps you know that nothing is falling through the cracks, because a quick check shows you that you haven't missed anything. So your SOPs are basically your business showing you what a rock star you already are. I know you are. I have already said I like to turn SOPs into checklists. I truly believe it's the best way to ensure that you're following all the steps and that you're getting things done in the way that your standards dictate them to get done. And anyone else who helps you too. When a checklist is completed, the task or the job or the project is done right every time and on time. So how detailed does an SOP need to be? Still, it's here or there. Detailed enough that the task is consistent, repeatable, and clear, but not so detailed that it slows you down. It is not about a mountain of paperwork here, right? If this is all new to you, start with something simple. Build it as you go, but make sure that it reflects you and the way that you work. And remember, SOPs don't just help you deliver great work, they help you feel more confident about the work that you are doing, and they help clients feel more confident in hiring you. If you want to get some help creating SOPs for your VA business, or you want templates that you can start with right away, reach out to me anytime. Where do you find me? yourvamentor.com/links. I'm here to help. It's the only reason I'm here at all, is to help you become a ridiculously good virtual assistant. I'd love to help you get some standards into your VA business so you can work more efficiently, get more done, and love your VA business again. That is all I've got for you this week. A shorty, I know. It's a busy one here this week. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Ridiculously Good VA Show. I'll see you next time.